All right, so welcome back everyone to our 300 Blackout bullet discussion, talking about some different 300 Blackout bullets that we can use. And of course, in these times where a lot of stuff is hard to find, or of course there's obviously a big ammo shortage going on here in December 2020. And, for a lot of us to kind of get around this, we really have to hand load and kind of look after ourselves and do our own thing. The nice thing with 300 Blackout is that we do have a lot of different options and things that we can go with to kind of make work for whatever we need to do, whether it's hunting or whether it's just target shooting or whether it's self-defense. Whatever role that we kind of have, we can kind of find a lot of these different types of bullets and kind of make them work. So moving up the weight scale now, last video we talked about 110 grain. Let's look at 125 grain, what we have available. And the first thing is, I've heard a lot of good things from online, talking with a bunch of other 300 Blackout reloaders on these Speer TNT Varmint 30 cal 125 grain bullets. I was able to get kind of a bulk buy on these recently. I can't remember what I paid for them, but I thought the price was reasonable enough. This is again one of those deals where, hey, if you can kind of pick up stuff in bulk, that's what I kind of aim to do. And I find usually you can save a bit of money doing that instead of buying these smaller, 100 pack boxes of bullets. So the TNT, from what I've heard from different 300 Blackout reloaders, is that a really solid, accurate bullet. For some hunters out there, they want a bullet with a little more weight to it than that 110 grain, usually at the expense of maybe a tad bit of velocity there. So, it's one of those things where, maybe it's just kind of a compromise that they want. But I'd say, overall, 125 grain bullet for 300 Blackout, that should do the job. If you load it well enough, that should do the job for, hunting, self-defense, whatever, and even target shooting. I've heard a lot of folks that they're like, oh yeah, very accurate bullet, they get good results. And so even just for general, like plinking and stuff, they actually load these. So let's have a look at these. Nice little foam pack there. They look like nice bullets. I load a lot of Speer stuff, especially in kind of pistol ammo, and, never had an issue with them. So looks like a typical varmint bullet. There's probably a little open cavity there at the front with the the lead down at the bottom, and then of course the flat base. Basically, looks like it does have a little bit of a beveled edge. So, we'll see how they load. So far, I hear a lot of folks that load flat base bullets for 300 Blackout, and a lot of times they use an expander die. I've not run into too many issues where I feel that I have to do that. So I just kind of watch it very carefully when I'm seating the bullets. But this one looks like it has maybe a nice little edge, so we'll see how those load up. So I'm kind of excited to see how these do. Like I said, I've kind of heard a lot of good things about them. I also kind of notice here, it looks like it looks like something set up for expansion. You see these like little kind of grooves cut in it, so I guess that's the case for expansion. But anyways, so yeah, I hear a lot of good things about these, so we'll be excited to kind of get into these and load those up and see how they do. Another bullet, I've used these for a while, and I think this is a good all-around compromise bullet. Again, probably in the same vein as a lot of these varmint type bullets, is the Hornady SST 125 grain bullet. Apparently you need about 1,600 feet per second for these to expand. So, that should be, you shouldn't have any trouble accomplishing that with 300 Blackout. So I've loaded quite a few of these, and they seem very accurate, and they seem hard hitting enough. So far with the velocities, I've kind of pushed them out to. I think I can probably push them a little bit harder with no problem. I can't remember my exact load data because it was about a year ago when I did a lot of load development and then subsequently loaded a bunch of these. But pretty solid bullets. I mean, I'd buy more of these, no problem. These tend to be fairly readily available out there, so you shouldn't have a big deal finding them. So Yeah, good solid all around bullet. Something to look at, definitely. And if you can buy them in bulk, all the better. You know, a lot of times with Hornady stuff, sometimes out there, if you watch the vendors closely, you can get some good bulk buys. No, they're not always out there, but you know, a lot of times you can. Next up is we have these Hornady 30 cal 125 grain full metal jacket bullets. Now, from what I've heard about these is basically this is, I could have this wrong, but my understanding is that essentially Hornady came up with these to make like kind of a target or plinker bullet for 300 Blackout. And like I said, I could be completely wrong. These might have been on the market for years and years and years, and I never noticed it or whatever. Very, very possibly could be the case, but from what I heard, Hornady kind of came up with this as kind of like a cheaper, just general purpose target plinking bullet for 300 Blackout. So flat base bullet, exposed lead, you know, you have a cantilever here that you can crimp into, and then, you know, just kind of a typical full metal jacket bullet. So these have been sitting on my shelf for a while. I have hundreds of them, and I've not gotten around to working up a load for them. But this is something where, and I have other bullets that I use for like plinkers, I call them. You know, this is something where if these work out, I think the price on these is pretty reasonable overall. So this is a thing where if this does work out for me, definitely in the future for just general purpose target plinking at the range, you know, kind of you know, a solid bullet that I can use. So we'll see how it goes and what kind of load that I can get. And I'll get into in the next video with the other bullet that I use for plinking. But you know, I expect good things out of them. So we'll see how that goes with these. But these are readily available. In the whole ammo panic here, I have not seen like any big problems finding these, or you know, them being out of stock. So could be a suitable option for those that just want a good plinking bullet. Okay. So there's probably a few other options out there in the 125 grain range, but for right now, these are the ones I'm kind of focused on. And like I said, you know, good results with the SSTs there. So, you know, I have no issues at all continuing to load those. So if there's other 125 grain bullets out there, that's something where, yeah, in the future, I'm definitely open to experimenting with them and kind of seeing what we get with them. All right. So anyways, thanks for watching, folks. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. And next video, we're going to move on kind of up the weight scale again. And we'll kind of get up into that 147 grain, you know, 150 grain range for 300 Blackout bullets, and we'll talk about the uses for those. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.